welcome to Vintage Hollywood Archive. Very calculative and intelligent tough guy talent. He was one actor that impacted the movie industry silently, but tremendously. Edward G. Robinson, the Romanian-born great American gentleman. A visionary fellow with many talents, highly focused, and perhaps bravery personified. He began a well-prepared acting career in comedy movies and transformed into a classic gangster character. Unfortunately, an Oscar Award nomination eluded him, despite critically acclaimed performances. He also had personal troubles, his son, and other issues that defined his legendary image. Make sure to watch the video until the end, and if you're new here, don't forget to join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Vintage Hollywood Archive channel. Back then, as a comedy movie performer, Edward G. Robinson did not show any sign of being a vicious, cigar-butt-crunching character, as seen in his crime pictures. His exhibition in Mr. Winkle Goes to War comedy was just okay until we saw him in display in Little Caesar and House of Strangers. Robinson was one actor who would put up his best regardless of the condition and was outstanding. Some say he was never short of excellent in those of his classic movies. I was wondering whether the Golden Age Hollywood community has forgotten about him. It should not be so soon for a man who gave his best, followed rules, and accomplished dreams that continued to inspire generations. I agree with those who say Robinson was among the watchable stars of the Golden Age. His enthusiasm on set made his performances great every time. What I saw of him in the Black Tuesday display got me wondering why his career faltered the way it did. One thing that endeared Robinson to fans and made him an interesting character in movies was his natural disposition to acting, which made most of his actions realistic. He may not have fascinated bookmakers, but fans will remember their favorite showman in movies. A very brief and thick-set man, with a face of a prize fighter, Robinson no doubt was a natural actor who tells stories with actions. A look at his face, the eyes, and his mouth. They all give off tremendous complexity. Though on the home side, he had difficulty managing his private life, especially a running discord with his son. Back in the heydays, I was one of those privileged to be in a gangster film festival that featured several of Robinson's films, where I saw his epic production, Double Indemnity. Again, I said to myself, it's fishy that Robinson was never nominated for an Oscar. After this gentleman made himself available for service with the U.S. military, many were amazed. Robinson came back as a war hero and was an idol to many. Critics say he became an instant favorite with his other character roles, his more terrifying side. Regardless of what he went through in life, he kept his cool as an estimable man and an experienced actor. Though Black Tuesday was a low-budget production, Robinson was conscious of his career amidst a personal quagmire that critics say he imported into the movie, as we watched bitterness and pain in his character. The movie did not just give him a fresh typecast. He invented for himself a terrifying new screen model that a writer described as so good, so focused, and so angry, which was very thrilling to watch. Robinson's career exploits between the 1930s and the 1960s may not have been adequately rewarded, but his legacy as a near-perfect character of a gang boss in movies is unforgettable. No wonder he's been inspirational to several animated television characters, mainly caricatures of his most distinguishing gangster show. Sadly, Robinson was not available to celebrate the eventual Oscar awarded to him in honor of his enormous contribution to the industry. It was a much-awaited relief in 1973 when he was recognized with Oscar as a patriot of the arts, a trustworthy citizen, and a Renaissance man. Reports have it that he was told about the award 2 months before his demise. So, he was not opportune to witness the ceremony. His widow wife Jane Robinson received the award on his behalf. But who is Edward G. Robinson? He is a Romanian, initially known as Emanuel Goldenberg, born in Bucharest sometime in 1893. He became popular as an American stage and film performer during Hollywood's silent era. With several Broadway shows and over 100 films to his credit, Robinson's 50-year career impact cannot be overemphasized. At the age of 10, young Robinson arrived in New York's Lower East Side with his parents. As he later declared, he was born again, indicating a start of a new life, the reason he was renamed Emanuel to replace Menashe, his original Yiddish-speaking Romanian Jewish name. He was raised on the Lower East Side and attended Townsend Harris High School before associating with City College of New York, where he was hoping to become a criminal attorney. Fate, however, led him to win an American Academy of Drama Arts Scholarship in 1911, causing an automatic shift in focus and leading him to acquire a fresh name, Edward G. Robinson. Finally settling with an acting career, Robinson made his first stage appearance in Paid in Full in 1913, and was a choice performer in multilingual plays because of his background, as seen in his 1915 Under Fire Broadway debut, while his first movie appearance was in 1916, Arms and the Woman. Robinson is among the few actors that successfully transitioned from silent film to silent production as his talent and popularity grew rather than declined after the shift. Facts suggest that he made just 3 films before 1930, left his stage career the same year, and appeared in 14 movies from 1930 to 1932. Gradually establishing his image as a reputable actor, Robinson wowed his fans with his stunning show as Caesar Bandello, the fearful gangster in Little Caesar, which also marked the beginning of stardom for this great talent. By this time, he was enjoying the benefit of his talent in terms of popularity and financial reward, which later made him the envy of most men at the time. Apart from his later lineup of hit films and an equivalent income, few things stood out about Robinson's all-inclusive lifestyle. One of them was that he was a known giver. His generosity was remarkable, owing to the dire need for it at the time. He was not just a fictional character, he was a war hero because of his activities during World War II. History recorded that he offered his time, talent, and a huge amount of money in support of the war struggle. Interestingly, Robinson was the first Hollywood actor to perform for the troops in French territory after the Normandy landing stage and was aggressively praising the American lifestyle on the radio. As recorded, he tried to join the U.S. military as soon as the country officially joined World War II. Unfortunately, he was rejected because he was above the required age. But the Office of War Information in London created another opportunity for him. It was said that not too long after, the U.S. and British authorities observed his usefulness as a multilingual personality and enlisted him not just as a famous name, but for his astonishing ability to speak as many as 7 languages. As such, he became very active in a series of propaganda communications across Central Europe, and specifically delivering radio reports in more than 6 languages to different European nations that had fallen under German authority. He also had a taste like most of the American elite in the era, purchasing fine arts and becoming famous with his choices that his opinion can alter the price of any artwork, showing how respected as an art enthusiast he was. His generosity appeared very sympathetic and selfless, as it was extended to close friends too. One of them was when his friend Dalton Trumbo was condemned to be among the Hollywood 10. The fellow confessed to writing to Robinson for financial assistance so he can support his nuclear family who was in dire need at the time. Robinson responded with a loan for $2,500 as part of his empathy for those in need. His charitable displays that he could not monitor how the fund was being used soon got him into trouble. The notorious Red Channels Tract of June 1950 linked a lot of supposed communist fronts. 3 times he appeared before the House Un-American Activities Committee in 1947, plus 3 more voluntarily as part of the same publication of Red Channels. Well, he remained innocent until the law say otherwise, and so luckily for fans, he was innocent as adjudged in 1952, when he was eventually cleared of any wrong. Remarkable was his somewhat victory statement, which was quoted as either snap my neck or set me free. If you snap my neck, I will still say, I believe in America. Responding, the panel leader John Wood of Georgia somewhat rebuked him by saying he was a very choice fall guy. In his words, I think you were number 1 on the sucker list in this country. Robinson got the victory, but his image was hurt by the proceeding. Even after leaving Washington, Hollywood did find him attractive again. This is the reason his career declined drastically within the early 1950s. He was a total mess. He managed to escape being banned from acting, but it injured his career to a great extent because juicy offers were nowhere to be found. Only a few low-budget movies that never did much for him financially or otherwise. To make his case more traumatizing was his troublesome marriage to a manic-depressive wife, Gladys Lloyd. She constantly finds herself in crisis, delicately disposed to attacks of severe depression that became traditional in the family. Robinson, who was married twice, had met and married Stage the actress in 1927 after she divorced Ralph L. Westerveld. The duo had 2 children, a boy and a girl. His wife's irrationality caused her to constantly seek a divorce each time she was bedridden, but would halt the process once she returned to her sanity. That was how demonic the atmosphere was for Robinson, but he did not give up. Unfortunately, as a human, he was stretched beyond his limits, forcing him to formally end the union as he realized he couldn't stand the shock anymore. The marriage was officially over in 1956. After the divorce with Gladys, Robinson became very lonely that he was rumored to have preferred sleeping with friends rather than sleeping alone in his isolated mansion. Not sure if his art collection would be of use to him again, Robinson had to sell some of his artwork so he can pay for alimony. He was literally forced to sell his assortment of arts because he was in desperate financial need, no thanks to his career that lagged due to unemployment within the period. 2 years later, Robinson met and married Jane Bodenheimer, a fashion designer popularly known as Jane Arden. The duo lived in their Palm Springs home in California. Contrary to what we observe about Robinson's character on screen, he was a very sensitive character, a soft-spoken and well-educated personality. He was also a liberal Democrat, one of those you would see in the 1960 Democratic Convention in Los Angeles, projecting their ideas to the entire nation. He was a visionary follower who loved creativity at all levels and had significantly gathered a collection of artistic paintings. But that was not all for Robinson. He also had a troublesome son to contend with. The young lad became a heavy source of anxiety. Manny Robinson Jr.'s relationship with his father was more like a proverbial cat and dog hatred. Not just that he finds himself in community trouble, but juvenile Manny began a heavily alcoholic lifestyle and only got worse as he grew older amidst a constant battle with Robinson. As if there was not enough headache for a careering father, Manny was reported to have eloped with a lover at the age of 20, which would later end in scandalous divorce plus abortion outrage. Young Manny was indeed a rascal, provided bad checks, and was given probation, found himself swimming in alcohol most times, and was constantly out of job. His behavior climaxed in 1954 when he was reported to have been arrested for an alleged armed robbery, the period Robinson was filming Black Tuesday. He managed to escape prison because, during his arraignment in Los Angeles court, it was either the judges would not find enough evidence or something similar, but the case was later dropped. Although Robinson suffered enormously career-wise, he refused to give up because it was not over until it's over, as we often say. So he took it gradually with simple low-budget crime movies. There was a kind of positive career rebound for him in 1954 after appearing as disloyal Dathan in Cecil B. DeMille's The Ten Commandments. He followed his performance with a psychological suspense story, The Nightmare, in 1956. The renewed appearances and his growing presence in television shows put him back in the spotlight. Recall that in 1959 he was billed behind Frank Sinatra in A Hole in the Head movie. Robinson was also a chain smoker. He dangerously smoked a pipe all through his life and was said to have earned a pipe tobacco blend name, named after him. On what those around him thought about his smoking habit, Manny wrote in his memoir, "My father, my son," that his father would inhale almost anything that comes his way, referring to how regularly he smoked. If what Francesca, his grandmother, said is anything to go by, Robinson's regular brand may have been the Cuban H. Upmann. He would not say no if you throw a Romeo y Juliet, Punch, or Monte Cristo at him. He also used his cigar in perfecting his gangster character in movies. Appearing as the bad dude Johnny Rocco in Key Largo, Robinson was superb in that tension-gripping moment of uncertainty at the Key Largo hotel hostage scene. Critics say he was awesome in the use of his cigar in the movie as a unique character complement. He showed similar posture in several such character roles. Robinson continued working in Hollywood and was able to buy back a few of his most cherished artistic ornaments, the paintings. Edward G. Robinson put together his memoir, All My Yesterdays, before answering the heavenly call in 1973 as a result of bladder cancer. His funeral service in Los Angeles would attract more than 1,500 friends and overflow of another 500 outside the venue. Sadly, Robinson's son Manny was already useless at the time, as was later announced dead at the age of 40, not up to a year after his father's demise. Edward G. Robinson said he was born again in NY. I have another interesting video for you. Peter Fonda, the man who sold the dream of freedom. Watch this.